I was just thinking about this. I was taking a step back and I was listening to something on the radio on the way to the studio, and they were talking about Walz and how far left Walz is, and so I was just processing this. Walk with me through this. In about the last month or so, you and I have experienced the sitting president of the United States of America be ousted from within his very own party to the naked eye. The Democrats just kicked Joe Biden out and selected their candidate right in front of everybody. We witnessed this in our own lifetime, just in the last month. They tried to murder Donald Trump. They shot him in the ear, almost blew his brains out. He was the Republican nominee, but not quite yet, and they just tried to murder the man. Somebody did. And now we see the Democrat nominee, Kamala Harris, make the dumb political move to shun Josh Shapiro of Pennsylvania in favor of Tim Walz of Minnesota. And before we go into the Walz thing, let's just explain really quickly why this is so out of left field and bizarre. Remember, you're not expecting the vice president, whether you're Republican or Democrat, you're not expecting your VP pick to win the race for you. The race is never about the VP pick. Okay, it's just not. But you're expecting the VP pick to help a little, fill in some gaps you might have. Remember, why did Obama pick Biden in the very beginning? They had no relationship whatsoever. They didn't even know each other. If you're Barack Obama, why would you pick Joe Biden? He was a famous idiot even back then. Well, Joe Biden had been in the Senate for 8,000 years, foreign relations, things like that. Barack Obama had just gotten to the Senate, had no experience, was thought to be too young. Joe Biden's white. Joe Biden had a bunch of foreign policy experience. Obamas were worried about the black thing. Joe Biden, he didn't win the race for Barack Obama, of course not, but he filled in some gaps. Well, Joe's there, right? Donald Trump did this with Mike Pence. Donald Trump, you know Trump's style, very bombastic in your face, and that can be wonderful for a lot of people, depending on what you like. It could be way too much for some people. Oh, gosh, I don't like it. So who did Trump pick first time around? You picked Mike Pence. Milquetoast Pence. He's so nice. He seems really nice, calm, and filled in some gaps there, right? And so now Dome has to make a selection. Well, look what Trump did this time. He picked J.D. Vance, trying to carry the Rust Belt states. You pick Rust Belt Vance. Dome has to make a point, has to make a choice here. And this is a very, very important choice. You see, this race is likely, I don't want to make a prediction here, but it's likely going to come down to this. The thinking right now is that Donald Trump is going to win most, if not all, of the Sun Belt states, the Sun Belt swing states. That's the Georgias, the Arizonas, the southern states, the Sun Belt. Those are normally swing states. Trump is up comfortably in most of them. Don't want to count my chickens. But the thinking is Trump is going to win the Sun Belt states. From there, if he does win all the Sun Belt states, he needs to win one of three: Michigan, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin. Michigan, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin. He doesn't have to sweep them, but he's going to need one of them. That looks like a tough hill to climb. Which brings us to Pennsylvania. Josh Shapiro, look, I can't stand Josh Shapiro. I'm not a Josh Shapiro fan. But Josh Shapiro is a popular man in the state of Pennsylvania. He is not poorly thought of there. Dome is not popular in Pennsylvania, not outside of the really radical circles. She needs to carry Pennsylvania. Why not grab Shapiro? He made all the sense in the world. Plus, she has this really far left voting record, far left record on video. She's getting bludgeoned by Trump every day now, blasting away at this stuff. Of course, you would pick Josh Shapiro, right? He's the no-brainer. But no, they picked Tim Walz from a state Democrats were always going to win anyway. They were always going to win Minnesota. Tim Walz brings nothing to the ticket except for, well, this stuff.
Don't ever shy away from our progressive values. One person's socialism is another person's neighborliness.
It's done. A packed room at the St. Paul Armory erupted after the governor's signature made driver's license for all the law of the land.
He talks about this wall. I always say, let me know how high it is. If it's 25 feet, then I'll invest in the 30-foot ladder factory. That's not how you stop this.
Should cities be allowed to be sanctuary cities?
Yes, local control.
A society that does not put equity and inclusion at the center of it is certainly going to eventually come to the places where we're at.
All right, ready. Whoa, wait a minute. There, that's better.
So the story today is not about Tim Walz. I know that's the headline. And yes, we're going to talk to Liz Collin about this guy specifically. The story is about Dome and how terrible this campaign is. Ignore the hype, the media hype. And it's not that there's not enough hype for her to win. She certainly can win. I'm not saying that. But she's just so insanely bad at this. She's insanely bad for a variety of reasons. She doesn't know anything. She's insanely bad because, again, this is a woman who's really, her only principle really is ambition. That's why there's so much horrible video of her out there, like this little tidbit of her. Remember when Minneapolis was burning down?
But they're not going to stop. They're not going to stop. And they're not, this is a movement, I'm telling you. They're not going to stop. And everyone beware, because they're not going to stop. They're not going to stop before Election Day in November, and they're not going to stop after Election Day. And that should be, everyone should take note of that on both levels, that this isn't, they're not going to let up, and they should not. And we should not.
Those St. George Floyd riots are not well thought of, and there's all this video of Dome out there being a nut job. And look, let's go back to the Shapiro pick. Let's just cut right to it. Why did they not choose Shapiro? He's Jewish. That's where we're at. Democrats have such a pro-Hamas problem now from within their own party of demons that Josh Shapiro, the no-brainer pick, was rejected because he's a Jew. This is just process. We've witnessed all this in just the last month. Joe Biden pushed out. Dome handpicked. A radical communist picked as her VP. Trump almost assassinated. Josh Shapiro rejected openly because he's a Jew. These things are happening not just in our lifetime. Right now, this campaign cycle is wild. And again, back to Dome. There's so much video of her out there running her mouth, saying things that are unpopular with independents because Dome says whatever she has to at whatever given moment in order to be popular.
You know, we have to stay woke. Like, everybody needs to be woke. And you can talk about if you're the wokest or woker, but just stay more woke than less woke. Yeah.
And they're laughing. And now she has no, get this, wrap your mind around how insane the Kamala Harris campaign is. She has a website. Every campaign has a website. Everyone has a website now. She has a website, and always, you know, candidates have their positions on the website. And oftentimes, I'll be honest with you, they're vague. That's what politicians kind of are. They want to make sure everyone can read whatever they want to read into it. Kamala Harris doesn't have a positions page. The Democrat nominee for president, the lady who might be our next president in about 3 months, doesn't have a single position laid out, because she's taken every position under the sun. In fact, you might call her the position master. Dana Bash was interrogating somebody on it.
In the 2020 primary, the vice president praised the defund the police movement, and now she says she doesn't support defunding the police. She called for decriminalizing crossing the border illegally. Now she supports President Biden's policies for clamping down at the border. She supported Medicare for all at one point, eliminating private insurance, and her campaign says she doesn't support that now. She's reversed herself on a fracking ban. What do you think, that voters should think, when she's reversed herself on several issues just in the last 4 years?
I think that voters should think that she's a human being who learns new things every single day.
So no concern about flip-flopping?
No concern about flip-flopping. This is our country changes every single day. The conditions of our country changes every single day.
She's a terrible candidate. That's why they're hiding her. That's why she's not doing press interviews. She's a complete and total disaster. And it gave me this thought. Maybe this is a little dark, but it gave me this thought. I want to get to Liz Collin and talk more about Tim Walz in a moment, but it gave me this thought. I was thinking about this morning. If we lose, God forbid, right? But if we lose to this commie hag and now her dirtball commie, Governor Walz out of Minnesota, if we lose to these people, no positions, communist positions, flip-flopping, no personality, if we lose to these people, maybe we're at a point where we can't win national elections anymore. Because if we can't beat Harris-Walz, ooh,